Southern Seminary style reader here. I want to do a quick tutorial on how to format your footnotes. There's a couple things I want to show you. The first is just the style, the footnote style, which is built into the dissertation project template. You can find the styles on the Home tab, Styles pane, and these are all the styles. Each one corresponds to a different part of your document. For example, this one is a regular paragraph, and you'll see that body of text is highlighted in dark gray. If you come down here to the footnotes, it should be highlighted footnote. And here you see highlighted dark gray. So the base formatting for your footnotes is exactly 10-point spacing, 10-point font with a 10-point space afterward. Now, how do you know that? Well, it is built in automatically. So if something went wrong, like if this was not indented, you could just click on it and it auto formats it to the things I just described. You can see what the formatting is by hitting right click, going down to paragraph, and then you'll have your exactly 10-point line spacing. That's basically single space, but with 10-point font. And this should normally be 10-point. I'll show you why it's not here in a moment. And then all footnotes are indented 0.7, except for one exception. So actually, if we click on the style, it auto formats it. Right click, paragraph, and here we have the 10-point space after. Now, what that 10-point space is for the space between two footnotes. So right here, that's the 10-point space. Here it is 10-point, but it's actually 4 because of this block quote. Now, always follow your supervisor's recommendations. If your supervisor wants you to include all content in footnotes in one big footnote, where it would look basically like this, then make sure you follow your supervisor's advice. I recommend making your footnotes just as readable as your body of text, in which case I follow the same rules, where this is a paragraph. Well, this is all one paragraph, technically. This is all one paragraph. You can tell because the block quote is, of course, part of the initial paragraph. And whenever something follows a block quote and it's not indented, this signals that this is actually part of the same paragraph unit as the paragraph itself plus the block quote. If this was indented, the indentation would signal that this is one paragraph, this is a new paragraph. So this is actually all one paragraph, conceptually. So to format this as a block quote, there's not an auto style, because this is a kind of an exception to the normal rule, which I showed you earlier. You'd right click and go to paragraph, and you would set your indentation to 0.35 inches, just like a normal block quotation. But since we'll set the line spacing to 10-point. So it's the same, each line is the same space apart as a normal paragraph. But since we're in the footnotes instead of the body, we don't need as much space before and after or between the paragraph above and the paragraph below. So we're going to set before and after to 4-point. I don't want it to be 10-point like how big this is, just a little bit of space to show conceptually that this is a block quote. So that's what your block quotation in a footnote is going to look like. And of course here, this one, if you right click, is 10-point spacing. We have no indentation because, again, this is conceptually part of the same thought unit. We have 4 points of space before, matching this one. And we have 10 points after to match, or to make sure we have that 10-point space between two footnotes. So let's just take a normal footnote. So this is going to be footnote style, 0.7 indentation, 10-point spacing between both lines with the 10-point space afterwards. And that's the same for all of these. So that's how you format your footnotes. Let me show you one more or two more things. First, while we're here, there should always be approximately a 10-point space between the line and the first footnote. If there's not, I'll show you how to fix it. And if this line for some reason is longer, I'll show you how to fix that as well. So if any of those things happen, what you need to do is go to View, the View tab, go to Draft View, far left, and then go over to References tab, go to Show Notes. In your footnotes, go to Footnote Separator, and then make sure you have this line. If you don't have this line or it's too long, go to the unaltered dissertation template and copy and paste that line. And then what we're going to do is this line, if you right click, this is what we want the spacing to be. We want it to be, because it's single spacing, I actually want it to be 10 point spacing. And I want this to be 10-point spacing as well, because that's how big it's going to be in the footnote, in the normal footnotes. So I should have done that sooner. You can also select both of them and right click, go to paragraph, set the spacing to exactly 10. And I also want the font to be size 10. So right click and go to font and then set that to 10. And then how do you make, if you didn't have a space at all, that's what it would look like. And so you just press enter and make sure you have the correct font size and space. That's for a normal footnote. If you have a footnote that goes over 2 pages, you would go to this one, footnote continuation. And I actually want both of these. So I'm just going to copy and paste, Control C, switch over, and come down here, Control V. And it looks like it gave me an extra space, so just delete that. And then so this would be 10-point font and then 10-point spacing. And then one more, the continuation notice, we want that to be 1 space, no line or anything, just 1 space. We want the space to be 10-point as well. So that's how you make sure that everything is correct with footnote line separator. Then go back to View, go to Print Layout, and then you should be able to see everything as normal, and that space will be there. So again, those are the steps to take if the space is not there, or if the line is too long or something is weird. One last thing, let me do a search real quick to find the footnote I'm looking for. I recommend paragraphing your footnotes if they're too long. Again, follow your supervisor's recommendations. Here we go. Of course, you don't want overly long footnotes, but sometimes that actually is merited for one reason or another. Here I am showing not a history of interpretation, but different views on the same subject, which is relevant to my discussion, but not primary. If it was primary, it would be in the body. But I want to distinguish, I want to make it easier to read for my readers. So I actually paragraph different units. Here I'm talking about one person, and then I give my own thoughts, and then I give the thoughts of another. This is actually not the one that I wanted, but it's actually this footnote serves the same purpose. This makes it much easier to read, and it also, more importantly, or perhaps more importantly, it shows very clearly the distinctions in thoughts. So each paragraph is a transition. Those transitions might not be as visible as quickly to the reader without these new paragraphs. And when I do new paragraphs, since we don't have a block quotation, I actually eliminated the space between the paragraphs. So to do that, you right click, paragraph, and there's no space after. But of course, there's always a space after the very last one, even though there's nothing after it but the page number. So if you right click here and go to paragraph, you'll see that that 10-point space is right there. So those are all my rules and recommendations for formatting footnotes. Take care.